There are reasons why our brains glue those two things together, output and worth. And one of the places where this becomes very obvious is criticism. If you're a recovering perfectionist, criticism doesn't just annoy you, it sticks. Someone will say something negative about your work or about something you did or the kind of person you are. And this is what happens. You think about it on the way home. You think about it in the shower. You think about it while eating dinner. You think about it while brushing your teeth. You think about it while you lie there in bed trying to fall asleep. And if you do manage to fall asleep, you wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about it again. The next morning, it's the first thing your brain loads when you open your eyes. You think about it during breakfast, during the day, during the week. Years later, it's still there. Why? Well, partly because your brain is trying to run simulations. Your brain is replaying the moment again and again, trying to figure out, what should I have said? What should I have done differently? How do I make sure this never happens again? Your brain is trying to regain control. But there's another reason why criticism hits so hard for perfectionists. And that reason has to do with approval. Let me tell you a little story. When I was about 19, 20, I worked night shifts at McDonald's in Ireland. I worked in the kitchen, I worked at the till, but most of the time, managers insisted on putting me on cleaning duty after pub closing time. In Ireland, that's when places like McDonald's are at their busiest. Absolutely packed with drunken students, looking for a quality meal at the end of their night out. I hated being on cleaning duty. And yet, I could not help but make sure I was the best at cleaning vomit off tables at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was basically a magician. Now you see vomit. Now you don't. One evening, I was at work and everyone was super tense. The big boss was visiting. I had never met the guy, but he had a reputation for being really intimidating, ruthless, not someone you wanted to disappoint. So whenever he showed up unexpectedly or not, people tended to go into panic mode. So anyway, that evening I was outside scraping dried chewing gum off a metal door frame. So I was there scraping with my spatula, scraping, must be perfect. And then suddenly I felt someone behind me. So I turned around and there was the big boss. He looked at the door frame and he said, "You're doing a great job." That was it. There was no particular emotion in his voice, no enthusiasm, not even a smile, just an observation. You're doing a great job. And here's the funny thing. That tiny remark is still in my memory 3 decades later. Now that tells you something about how hungry my brain was for approval. Because when you tie your worth to performance, approval becomes oxygen. You breathe it to survive. Notice I said survive, not thrive. Because for perfectionists, praise is not something that actually makes you thrive. It just keeps your head above water. Compliments are not joy. You don't feel amazing. No, you just feel like you avoided drowning. For perfectionists, compliments are relief. And once approval becomes oxygen, criticism starts feeling like suffocation. Which is why criticism can trigger such intense mental replay. Your brain is trying to prevent the suffocation from happening again. But let's step back for a moment. Why on earth are we so dependent on evaluation in the first place? I think part of the answer has to do with identity. We tend to define ourselves based on what we do, our roles and functions. I am someone's daughter. I am someone's partner, someone's colleague. I am a baker, a nurse's aide, an investment banker. But imagine something for a moment. Imagine yourself sitting on a chair, alone, in an empty room. No phone, no TV, no internet, no connection with the outside world. No one watching you, no one needing anything from you, no one evaluating what you're doing. Who would you be then? Who are we alone in an empty room? Don't look at me for the answer. I haven't figured that one out yet. Who am I alone in an empty room? You know, sometimes the best answer I can come up with is, well, I am. Isn't that sufficient? Do we really need to add words after that? But you see, the words we do add after I am are how we build our identity in this world. It's the roles and functions I mentioned before. Others can evaluate, determine how well we are doing in those roles and functions. Fine. Not the end of the world. It's only when their evaluation becomes a make or break type of thing for us that we start to lose our power. When our identity relies so heavily on approval, criticism starts threatening more than our work, more than what we do. It starts threatening our sense of self. If a large part of who you show up as in the world and a large part of what you do requires such enormous effort to maintain, what is it exactly you are maintaining? The truth is not heavy. Lies are. Separating your worth from your output is not a magic wand trick. It's more like slowly dismantling a system that your brain built to stay safe. That can take time. And it starts with a shift in perspective. How well you perform does not determine who you are. And once those two things stop being linked, criticism loses most of its power. Not all of it, but most of it. And that raises an interesting question. If you believed, if you knew that your worth has nothing to do with what you produce, how would you live your life?